This is an abject failure by Mark Carney, and it begs the question, why didn't Mark Carney kick him out? Why?
Well, I think it has to do with a $250 million loan from a Chinese state-linked bank to Brookfield Asset Management right there. Not only that, I bet you Paul Chiang knows a little something about the 10 other parliamentarians, because I'm including him in the mix here, who were the recipients of foreign interference to their benefit. And this is the same party who said, oh, we indeed had foreign interference in our leadership election from Chandra Arya and Ruby Dalla. And those two thrown out on their asses. Now, we've never seen any evidence of that, but those two were thrown out. Why? I think it's because they probably would have rounded up a great deal of votes in the Brampton area. But what we're to believe that what they did was somehow worse than kidnapping and ransoming a conservative politician who is, he said, by the way, Joe Tay, in his statement where he said, Paul Chiang reached out to me unsolicited and I do not accept his apology. And my personal safety is in such danger that I had already been in contact with the RCMP about threats that he had been receiving. And then Paul Chiang is like, by the way, we should ransom him to the Chinese. So he said,
insane, just insane. His threatening public comments were intended to intimidate me. They must not be tolerated. Further, last night, he made an unsolicited attempt to contact me to discuss this matter and has posted on social media that he offered an apology. I want to be clear, no apology is sufficient. Well, good for you, Joe Tay. Good for you. And you know, this should really put a chill down the spine of every Canadian that's concerned about foreign interference, because we are watching it unravel in real time through the Liberal Party of Canada. This is unforgivable. It's absolutely unforgivable. It's unforgivable that it happened in the first place, and it's unforgivable the way Mark Carney mishandled it
completely. So from Paul Chiang's step aside letter, I wouldn't call it a resignation letter, but he's like, I'm going to step aside because my comments are causing too much drama for Mark Carney, who did absolutely nothing on this. He said, I do not want there to be distractions in this critical moment. Oh, that your kidnapping plot was a distraction. Actually, it's a crime. And Chinese dissident organizations are calling for it to be investigated as a crime. And it sounds like the police now are looking into it.
That's for sure part of it, Sheila, is he stepped down before the RCMP or CSIS could get involved to absolve this is just speculation, but to absolve the Liberal Party from any undue scrutiny in this moment. However, this is blown so wide open, and props to Rebel News, who was the first news organization in Canada, Sheila, Gunn, Reid, I'm pointing at you, to identify this issue and shine a big bright light on it. Only 3 or 4 days later did the CBC get around to putting their pants on and talking about this thing.
Right.
It was Rebel News that did the heavy lifting on this story. So congrats, guys. Everybody that had a hand in shining a light on this should get a big shiny trophy over this. But my God, like what an absolute crap show Canadian politics is.
And they keep hiding behind the fact that Paul Chiang was a cop for 30 years. And, Tamara and I talked about it on the show yesterday. So you can just shoot at someone, miss in your attempted murder, and then be like, you know what, it's fine. I was a cop for 30 years. So I get this get out of jail free card. That's not how it works. And also,
as a matter of fact, I think that makes it more concerning. That makes it more concerning, because we know that China has Chinese police stations operating in Canada. I wonder how that's happening, guys. I wonder how that's happening. It's through guys exactly like this.
Now, imagine that you are in the Chinese dissident community, and you know Paul Chiang has got his nose to the consulate as a police officer. Do you feel safe coming to this guy to talk about things that are going on in your community about intimidation that may be coming? Or are you concerned that Paul Chiang, for the last 30 years, potentially was running with this information to the consulate so that people could be intimidated out of the consulate and have their families intimidated back in Hong Kong or in mainland China? I've got real concerns about the last 3 decades of Paul Chiang's policing in that community now.
Without question, CSIS has to do an absolute 360 deep dive into every one of this man's dealings over the last 30 years. CSIS has told us that elections in Canada have been compromised by foreign interference for the past 50 years. And so this guy has been serving as a police officer with ties to the Chinese consulate for the past 30, and we're wondering how this happened. I think the story is a lot bigger than even we know right now, and it's real important that we keep a real hard finger on the pulse of this story as it keeps beating out, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Especially when Mark Carney said, he apologized to me and to the target. Oh, okay, well, that's a mulligan. What's so much a kidnapping between friends? But then he says, and he's learned his lesson and we'll move on. What lesson was that? As Ezra asked Adam Van Couverden last night. What lesson was that? What consequence had he faced? It was literally none at the time.
Are you worried about the Chinese connection with Paul Chiang? Like, it sort of shines a spotlight on Mark Carney's connections with China and the fact we still don't know who the 11 MPs were. How do you feel about standing with Paul Chiang after his outlandish comments?
I feel very confident in the future of the Liberal Party under the leadership of Mark Carney.
But what about the Chinese connection, though?
If you'd allow me to finish, Ezra, I'm very, very confident in the confidence that Canada has put in Mark Carney, and I'm very, very confident that Paul Chiang has been accountable for his comments.
How has he been accountable?
With his words and with his comments. Anyways.
That's enough for you? Just like saying sorry and he can still stay? Like, he called for a man to be kidnapped.
Look, it wasn't something that I said, Ezra, and I think the Prime Minister said it best. It's a moment that we can all learn from. Thanks for your question.
But what's the lesson that we've learned?
Thanks, Ezra.
Who is that guy?
I think he's some soft porn model. He always takes his shirt off. He's always taking his shirt off.
So funny.
That woman, I've watched that video, I kid you not, 150 times. I showed my husband, I showed all my kids, I streamed it on the TV. I was like, get a load of this woman's cackle. You know, sometimes in the world, you just need a moment of levity like that. I just want to know this woman now. I want to adopt her. I want to bring her over for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Easter, because the way that she reacted, because Ezra's comment was so, it was
Deadpan.
It was so perfect in that moment. And her reaction is just the best. It's such a serious moment. And then it was just broken by this one. Oh, I just love it so much. That might be my favorite video of the entire year so far. It is my favorite video. I've watched it that many times.
Softcore porn model.
she just absolutely all I want is that video on loop. Okay, Olivia, just that moment. Softcore porn model and then the cackle. That's all I want in the world. That's it.
I'm making that cackle your ringtone when you call me.
Now, that's what we all need.
Mark Carney was asked about Liberal MP Paul Chiang, and he just says it's time to move on and leave it at that. Imagine being Joe Tay, and they're like, just get over it, Joe. You might get kidnapped and sold to the Chinese and quite possibly executed, as they have an affinity for that, especially with dissidents. They'll accuse you maybe of drug trafficking and then sentence you to death. But would you mind just getting over it and moving on? Anyway.
Yeah, please move along. Please move along. Do we have a clip here?
Mr. Chiang made his resignation, offered his resignation last night. I accepted it. As I said yesterday, his comments were deeply troubling and regrettable. We will move on with looking for a new candidate for Markham. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, shut up and get over it. Are you done crying about it, Joe Tay?
I'll tell you who's not going to get over it. Us. We're not over this.
Yeah.
We're nowhere even near over it. Now that we smell blood in the water, Sheila, we're going to unpick this story until its bitter roots are exposed, and then we're going to salt the earth around it. Okay, Mark Carney? Okay, I know that you want everybody to get over it and to just forget that it happened, but we're not going to. We're going to hold your feet to the fire over this. And especially his reaction to it when he was made aware that this had happened. He just tried to blow it off as something that this just happens all the time. This is something that happens in politics. It does not happen here, Mark Carney. Maybe you wouldn't know that, not being from Canada and spending the majority of the last 10 years overseas and gallivanting around the world, but we are not letting you get away with this, not even for a second.
Efron, super producer, just found the clip that ended Paul Chiang's political career. He found it, and this is the statement that he gave from a podium, it looks like. So let's show that. I'm actually surprised that we hadn't seen this sooner. We get to live react. I'm watching this cold, so.
Okay.
The other person that's running, most probably is, the Chinese community knows, Joe Tay, Zhang Jing. Right? He's looking for the nomination. The Chinese media knows him. He was in the media business in Hong Kong, and here in Canada, he's a radio host, or I don't know, for Singtel Media or Fairchild, he was a media person. So that's all he did all his life. But also right now, he is wanted by the Chinese government, and there's a $1 million reward on his head. So they want, if you guys want to pick him up and take him to the Chinese consulate, you make him $1 million. I'm just joking, but there is a arrest warrant out for him from the government of China, and there is a reward for him. But apart from that, I can't say more than that. Right?
This wasn't in some foreign language. This is in English. Holy, there's no misconstruing that. There's no misconstruing that at all. Holy.
And now I understand more about Joe Tay. Joe Tay was a journalist who was a dissident against the CCP, which is very, very dangerous for him. They hate dissident journalists. And he jokes about it, but then he says it again. He says, I'm just joking, but also there's a reward out for him, and he's also wanted. So he reiterates it. This is wild. Don't tell me the Liberals didn't know about this since January. They knew about this. I refuse to believe they didn't have this clip since January.
I could have forgiven them if it was in Chinese and it was just sort of buried. But this isn't perfect English that he says this. And then the people in the audience laugh about it. They laugh about it. So that just goes to show you the people that Paul Chiang is what is the word I'm looking for? Cavorting with, okay, are down for these sorts of ideas. Like this is chilling, Canada, that happened, that he even thought those things, let alone stood up at a podium in front of a microphone and said them.
Also made sure that you know Joe Tay by his ethnic Chinese name, in case you wanted to look him up and grab him.
That's right.
Make sure you know both names, his English name and his Chinese name. So if you're looking for him, you could look either way.
Yeah, sort of went through his resume too. Told people where he worked. Like this, that's more than concerning. And this guy deserved to step aside.
Yeah.
He deserves a lot better than that.
Yeah, I hope he is investigated by the police for this, and it sounds like they are.
Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com.